Hi everyone, today I'm going to introduce to you a little bit of a taster for something that I'm going to be releasing in the near future. Last week I discussed on my blog, or sort of just mentioned, that I'm working on two products, and one of them is going to be a mostly written product. It's going to be more of an ebook or email series, but that's going to be anchored into my faith, and it's going to be talking about things that I generally write about on my blog. So if you're not familiar with the things that I tend to write, then you're welcome to go and investigate that, but it's centered on my faith and Christianity. So that's where I sort of get that inspiration from, and I really feel drawn to be able to do that. And that's one of the products. The next product is related to fitness, which is what you will know me most for, and that is home workouts and progressing strength and conditioning and all of that. So one of the biggest problems that I see with people at home is they don't really know what to do in terms of following a program. There are plenty of home workout websites out there that provide, including my own, that provide plenty of random workouts that you can pick and choose from. It's almost like a kid in a candy store. You don't know what to do first, and you don't know how to structure your week. And I did write 2 blog posts last year, or earlier in the year, about how to structure a balanced workout, and then how to kind of put together workouts in a program which you follow. This is going to be done for you. This is going to be me taking you from point A to point B within 3 months. Now, first of all, let me just say, in 3 months, realistically, you're not going to get from A to like Z, which is your ultimate goal, but it's going to take you part of the way, and it's going to help you organize your thoughts, take away the stress of knowing what to do, and also give you support along the way. So it's going to help you know what you're doing and why, and give you a little bit of a taster of what's to come down the line. Now after that, I probably will release other things, because I love doing that. I love trying to give some people something to actually do and to follow, because that's what I've been doing here, training people, and I really enjoy the results that people get. And some of the results are unexpected. Some of the things that you realize along the way just happen as a bonus, and I like seeing that. I love seeing that, actually, whenever people feel that they need to get to this place and actually they realize along the way that they're very happy with the way things are going, and that other goal wasn't so important after all, but they still continue in their fitness journey, but their actual reasons for doing that change. I'm not saying that that has to happen, but I'm just saying that expectations can sometimes trip us up, especially when we don't meet them as quickly as we want. So we're just telling you up front, in 3 months you're unlikely to see massive changes in how you look, depending on where you're starting. So that's important. One size doesn't fit all in terms of results. It doesn't bring everyone from this place and they all end up in this place, which is very specific. You're starting off where you're at, which is different. You could be more overweight, you could have other training experience, you could be just a complete beginner and not really know what you're doing, but and then you can all end up in slightly different places at the end. But it is something that you can go into and learn from, regardless of what that result is at the end. So basically you've nothing to lose by doing it. That's what I'm saying. So there are different things that you need to consider along the way. I mean, it's not all hanging on what I give you. There's a lot of responsibility on your part, which you're going to have to be in charge of. Things like the commitment, the motivation, the self-control when it comes to your diet. Things like this are going to be very important parts of realizing your own responsibility within the program. And I'm not saying that you aren't good at that already, but sometimes if you think, I'm going to come along and give you something, this program to follow, that you don't just say, oh, then if it doesn't work, it's not my fault. There's no fault here. There's just ways of adapting. There's ways of learning and growing and working through a journey. There's lots of things that I've tried that haven't worked, but I've kept going, and I've kept following what I enjoy doing the most and what I feel I get the most out of, and that is generally strength training and feeling that reward of actually being able to do something and working on my actual performance goals versus how I look. Even if I do maybe at some point want to look a bit leaner, then I just step up the sort of the self-control a little bit in the diet department, which is very challenging for me. So you're not alone in this. I mean, we all go through these things. So that's another great thing about it, is that because you have that community there, people will be going through similar things, and there will be different things that people will have challenged in. So today I want to take you through a basic workout setup, and that is there's going to be 3 exercises at the start. It's going to be a little strength section. I'll take you through pointers and sort of cues for those exercises as I would within the system that I'm talking about. And then there's going to be a very, very short conditioning section, like the typical My On My TV conditioning interval training. There's only going to be 3 exercises, or well, it's basically 2, but right and side and left side, so it makes officially 3. And I'm going to run you through that as a pace that I would go at, encouraging you to come along with me. So that's a very important point. The strength workouts are going to be, there's going to be teaching, but you're left to do it yourself. You don't have to keep up with me. With the conditioning, I'm going to lead it like a class. And then at the end there's going to be 2 exercises, just accessory exercises like core. You might work on glute work with the bands and things like that. So there's all different types of elements put in. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. And what I do want, if you haven't fallen asleep yet by listening to me, then I would really appreciate your feedback on this, this idea, this vision, or whatever, you know, for this particular type of product. Is this something that you want? Is this something that you would maybe recommend to somebody that you know, maybe somebody who's struggling to stay on track and is always trying different things, falling off the wagon here, that they really need some anchor to keep them on track? Then, you know, feel free to ask them if this is something they would be interested in, or any feedback is welcome. So constructive feedback, please. But anyway, I'm going to get on with this before I use up all of my allotted space on YouTube, and I'll see you in a minute. First exercise is the kettlebell reverse lunge. I always use a goblet hold for this. I just think it's much more stable. If you're wanting to use super heavy weights, then you can maybe rack 2 kettlebells if you're advanced. If you're just starting out, then perhaps starting out with body weight. Once you've mastered body weight, then you can try with a light kettlebell held in the middle, or 2 dumbbells held by your side. Sometimes the dumbbells add a little more advantage to this because they're keeping the weight, your centre of mass, quite low down, and your balance is generally better. When the weight is up high, it requires more trunk stability, and it also requires quite a lot of upper back strength in order to hold that there, and more balance because the weight is in higher. But generally, once you've mastered the actual movement of the reverse lunge, then it's not too big a deal. One thing I would say is just to remember, keep your core really tight. What that means is you're resisting any sort of overextension in the lower back. It's all very well saying tight core, but what does that mean? That means you're bracing as if somebody's going to punch you, so that as you're stepping down into any sort of movement, you're not tempted to go back into extension. So you're trying to keep that tension there throughout the entire movement. As you're sinking down, you want to try to keep your shin fairly vertical, so you're not shifting away forward. Try to keep it tracking in line with the foot, so your knee isn't caving in either side. As you're sinking down, you want to try to keep your torso fairly upright. You can use the other knee can tap the floor if you want, but what you're going to do from here is not push off with your rear leg, but pull forward with your front leg. And squeeze the hip forward at the top by getting your glutes engaged. Your glute doesn't just start working from here. Your glute starts working from the bottom and then squeezing all the way up into that full hip extension at the top. So from the front, when I'm going to do the other side, so the reps are, there's 3 sets of 8 reps. I'm going to choose a weight that I know will challenge me for 8 reps, but I'll still be able to have good solid form for all of those reps. Another pointer is keep your toes planted into the floor. This is why I love sort of training barefoot, because it means that I can really grip into the floor with all of my toes. So that exercise, you're doing 3 sets of 8 reps. I was using a 16 kilogram kettlebell. For 8 reps, I would generally use a heavier weight, or else I would increase the range of movement by doing a deficit reverse lunge. But I would probably use 20 or even a 24. Okay, so get my breath back. I'm going to move on. I'm going to be supersetting these. So I'm going to move on to the next exercise, and that's push-ups. And there's three supersets, but each set you're doing 8 reps. So for me at my level, I'm fine doing 8 reps. I can do many more than that on the floor. But you choose a level to start with which is most challenging, especially with a low rep range or low reps like 8. So what I'm going to do is elevate my feet to make it appropriate for my level. So if this is somewhere where you're at and you're wanting to keep the reps a little bit lower, then just choose a more advanced level for the exercise. So if my feet are elevated, keeping my core tight, which again means stopping it from sinking, so shortening the abs at the front, squeezing the glutes, hands shoulder width apart. I'm going to aim for my sternum between my hands, elbows going back at a 45-degree angle. Don't know how many that is. I think that's it. So if I was getting to, I was on the floor and I could do 15 reps, no problem. You can either do the 15 reps, or you could start off with your feet elevated like that. Do 3 reps like that. Do as many as you can like that. If it brings you to 5, then lower your feet to the floor and finish the set that way. So you're still getting that progressive overload, that extra resistance at some point in the workout. The alternative is, if you want to work on the amount of reps you can do 3 sets of sub-max. So you're stopping where your form starts to break down. So if you can do 15 good reps, 16th is crap, then do, first set 15, you might manage 14 the next set or whatever. But I'm going to stick to 8 reps. And I'm going to do that by elevating my feet. I probably could have done another 4 reps like that. So what I would do the next time is raise my feet up onto a box, so I'm slightly higher. Or else, if you have it available, you can put a plate on your back to make it harder. If you're the opposite end and you need to make it easier, so you're starting on the floor and you can only do 3 full press-ups or push-ups, and it's asking for 8, don't just stop there. You can break down the sets if you want. So you can do 3, take a bit of a break, do another 3, take a bit of a break, do another 2, like that. You can still count that as a set. Or else you can do your 3 and immediately come up higher. Again, same principles. Making sure you're not too far away from the bench, up over your hands. And you finish your set like this. It may not need to be as high as that, but at a level, it still challenges you to finish off the remaining, how many reps is in that set. So if you did 3 on the floor, you're struggling, go up a little higher with the hands and do another 5 reps that way. Okay, so the next exercise is the inverted row. I'm using my jungle gym. You can use your TRX, you can use, if you have like a barbell, if you want to use that, or you've got it on the rack or something like that, you're doing your inverted rows like that, where you can set up 2 chairs with a broomstick in the middle and improvise from home. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to choose a height which challenges me to 8 reps. It's about here, if you can see me. So I'm starting with straight arms, my hips are not sinking down, same idea. My chest is all flared up like this, I'm probably sagging somewhere in the core, and what I want to do is flatten those ribs to my abs, keeping them nice and engaged. The hips are up by squeezing the glutes, the arms are straight, and I'm going to go from into like a neutral row. So I'm keeping my elbows very close to my sides. I'm going to row up. My chest is going to be between my hands. I'm going to aim to pull the shoulders right the way back and away from my ears. So breathing in, bracing my core, squeezing back and lowering under control. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I can feel that that's probably enough for this set. I probably could have done 10, but I have to remember with that particular exercise, there is probably another level I could go to, a little bit lower than that, but I want to save some energy in the tank. Same idea. If you are really, really strong at those, then you can start elevating your feet, increasing the resistance a little bit on your upper body, but more likely you want to stay fairly level, but then start to apply maybe some resistance, like a weighted vest, or more repetitions, but a weighted vest, or even a small plate, which I've done in the gym as well. But making sure your form doesn't break down. It's very easy to cheat on those by providing some other ways to get up. So it's really, keep them really strict. If you're new to this, then obviously the higher you start, the easier it is, like so. This is a beginner level here, quite straightforward. Same idea, you're aiming to bring the shoulders back away from the ears as well, chest between the hands, and all the way down to a straight arm. Finish with your straight arm, and whenever you're coming down, don't sink away down in the hips to try and cheat. And that's you completed. Keep it fairly simple for today. I don't want to waffle on too long with these exercises, but if you are using something on the ground, maybe you've got an equalizer, maybe you've got the broomstick set up, then choose an underhand grip or a neutral grip. Overhand grip is slightly more difficult, so I would stay underhand. So you're really just focusing on pulling those shoulders back. If your overhand is a bit difficult and it's more challenging on your upper back muscles, at least this way you're getting to practice the movement with your shoulders, but also you're getting a little bit of help from the arms. But remember, this is an upper back exercise primarily, so really try to feel it there and really focus your mind in on those muscles moving rather than just, oh, my arms. So that's the first set of those done. Then I will go back, I'm going to do another set of the reverse lunges, push-ups and inverted rows, and one final set. So that's the strength section. That's sort of, I'm going to actually do this now, but then I'll pick it up in a minute when I'm going to do the conditioning section, and you can get an idea of what I'm going to be like when I'm leading you through like a class style workout. For the conditioning section, we have 2 exercises, although I'm counting them as 3, but you're doing the kettlebell thruster, right side then left side, and then you're doing the kettlebell roundabout swing, and you're doing 3 cycles of this. So you're doing, I think it's 9, works out about 9 minutes worth of work. So the thruster is basically a kettlebell front squat to overhead press. It's not the squat then press, because it's harder, and it's more strength based. But this one is going to be more cardiovascularly challenging, so choose a lighter weight than you would if you were just doing challenging straight presses. So I'll probably typically press a 16. Going to use this one so I can explode quicker from the squat and do more reps, but I'm still doing good form. So if I rack the kettlebell, first of all, using the clean, making it a strong rack, hips are forward, so my elbows into my hip, just the iliac crest there, nice vertical forearm, nice vertical wrist as well, it's completely straight. The flats of the knuckles are facing toward the ceiling, so you're not bending the hand back, you're not overly bending the wrist this way, because that can cause the forearm to bruise a little bit more. And then from here, you're going to keep that position so that your shoulders nice and strong and packed. You're going to squat down into a deep squat. As you're driving up, you're using your glutes and your quads to drive yourself up underneath the weight so the weight can be punched up overhead into a locked arm position. You're going to have it in line with the ear. The shoulder's going to be stable, that's why it's locked out, making it more stable. And then you're not going to be overextending the lower back. Keep those hips forward and keep those ribs flat as much as you can. The core has to be switched on. Lower into the rack before going into another squat. If that's too challenging, Then use a lighter weight. You can use dumbbells for this as well. A lot of people will have light dumbbells in their house, so you can rack them and do those overhead presses with those. But if that's not possible, use the kettlebell, but hold it with 2 hands. So instead of doing the sort of 9 cycles, you could do 3 rounds of the 2 cycles. So you're just doing a 2-handed press, squat to press, and a swing. So if you are a beginner, perhaps holding your kettlebell in to do a goblet squat, and then you're driving up overhead with 2 hands. Same idea, not overextending the back, keeping those hips forward, and your core nice and tight at the front, lowering to chest height before doing another squat. Driving up, lower, and then squat. If you're at that level, then go and use the kettlebell swing. Just do the 2-handed swing and really just perfect your form during that. You also might want to adjust the time that you're doing. So maybe you're wanting 30 seconds of effort, followed by 30 seconds or 35 seconds of rest. It's important that you get enough recovery so that your form remains strong. So that's it. For anyone who's more advanced, then after the thruster, you're doing the roundabout swing, which is basically you're changing hand style. So instead of just doing a 2-handed swing the whole time, or the single-handed swing, you're combining both. So you're going 2-handed, single-handed, 2-handed, single, 2-handed, single, 2-handed, single, and on and on and on. So it all looks very nice and smooth when I do it, but when I first learned, it was all over the place, and sometimes I would do 2-handed too many times, forget about the single-handed part, which is fine. So don't get into a twist about it, don't worry. You might even drop it. So make sure you're on a good solid floor, you're not going to damage anything. If you are switching hands like that, the more risk there is of dropping it. And if you are just getting muddled up all the time, just resort back to the 2-handed swing or a swing style that you're comfortable with. You can maintain good form for the interval. This variation of swing is really great because it saves your grip. So we'll start the timer. The first beat there is our rest, 20 seconds, just for the benefit of the video. 20 seconds and then 35 seconds effort. Yeah, I would normally do 40 seconds, which I actually should have done, but I was too lazy to change it. Okay, so I'm doing the thruster first. Oops, I'm lying way behind, so if you're leading, going into your thruster with nice steady pace. Remember, trying to keep good form. Concentrate on locking that arm out overhead. Squeeze the glutes while you're in the press. And try not to overextend lower back during this exercise. It's been ages since I did this. Okay, 20 seconds rest. We're moving on to the other side. This is the advantage of being the teacher, because you get to rest longer. So rack position, so driving up with both the glutes and the legs. Locking that arm out over the head, so your hips are forward and you have a nice straight arm. Lowering to the shoulder height into the rack position, and then squatting down, punching up. And rest there. Again, if you are too tired, just the 2-handed swing is enough. Getting ready into a strong hinge backward, so you can hike the kettlebell back, drive back and snap forward. Keep a loose grip in the 4 fingers rather than the entire hand, so you don't cut the hand off yourself. rest there. First is one for more rotary stability, so it's like anti-side flexion. So you can do this with a side plank, but I actually prefer, well, I find it's more functional if you do this standing, because you also get good shoulder stability work as well, because it's a nicer shoulder position than if you're on your side in the side plank. The shoulders out to the side and it's more unstable. This will keep it in a more stable position. So it's basically like your suitcase deadlift, one-sided. You know, if you're just starting out doing these, then get 2 weights holding either side, so you're equally balanced on the sides. It'll still challenge your stability, it'll still challenge your core, but it won't be pulling so much, requiring so much in one direction versus the other. So you either have like maybe a slight deficit in the weight. It's not a huge deficit, that, you know, 24 kilos on one side versus nothing on the other. If I wanted to regress this and I didn't have any equal weights, then what I would do is pair this up with a 20, or I would pair the 20 up with a 16, so it's a slight uneven sided thing. Or if you had a 16 and a 12, versus having 16 or 12 on one side, then having a slight balance with only like a 4 kilogram discrepancy is probably better. So you're going to squat down into a semi-squat deadlift, so you're doing your suitcase deadlift, shoulder back. You're going to stand up with this, hips forward, shoulder back and down, not overextending the back. I'm just going to hold this here. So when I'm standing here, I feel this on the opposite side. If you want to make it more challenging, and you've been doing these for a while, then you start walking around doing a farmer's carry. So I'm going to hold this for about 30 seconds. And then, same way, I'm going to get it down to the floor, suitcase deadlift down. And that's challenging. You know, with that weight on one side, you're trying to resist going in this direction. So it's really pulling on that side to get you into an anti-side flexion sort of movement. So then I'm going to repeat the same on the other side. Same thing. Nice shoulder position. Shoulders not roll forward. My upper back's not down. My chest is up. My core is engaged. I've got a nice position here. I'm just going to hold this. It's great for your grip strength as well. And again, for your shoulder stability. And after your 30 seconds, you just place the kettlebell down, or the dumbbell, or whatever. You don't start with that sort of weight, you start with a lighter weight. Get used to the movement. And as I said before, ideally, you want to start with it equally weighted on either side. Then you progress to a walking farmer's carry. And you can start adding more weight then after that. But it's harder than it looks, especially when you're being an idiot like me and going 24 kilograms. So that's an accessory exercise that I would generally add at the end. Something like core stability, shoulder stability, maybe something high pace like I just did with the kettlebell conditioning finisher. And that concludes this little test workout. Okay everyone, that's it for today. I mean, now you've got an idea of the type of thing that I'm thinking about with regards to the training system that I want to put up. It's going to last for 3 months, and I'd really appreciate your feedback on it, and let me know if this type of thing that I did today, similar to this, is going to be a benefit to you. And any suggestions regarding lighting and sound are important, but my resources are limited to what's on the camera and kind of what's here. I do have other lights if it's too dark, but I don't think it is anymore. The lighting is much better in here. But obviously I want to deliver quality to you, and while it is in my own garage, I hope that I can deliver the information, and the design is what's important, and that the teaching is there and that you are actually learning from it. So hopefully those things come across. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm sure this video is going to be like an hour long by the time I get it uploaded, but hopefully you enjoy it, and I'll be back soon with more.